Okay, it's been a few months since I sat down and made a video for this channel, and even longer since we had a good catch up. So today I will be answering all of the questions that you sent in on my Instagram and the ones that I left on the community post here on YouTube. I will also try to have certain topics timestamped below so that you can spool through to whatever bits you're most interested in. But I feel like this is going to be a long video. I got a lot of questions, so let's just dive in. Actually, before we start, I don't do this often enough, but I just want to thank everyone who has been supporting me on Patreon. It's not only been nice to have that like closer community to share updates with and just ease back into work with over the last few months, but I know that YouTubers say this a lot, and I really, truly mean it. Without your support, I literally wouldn't be able to do this. You allowed me to take time off with my baby and get back to work at my own pace, and I just feel so incredibly grateful and lucky for that. And also, thank you to everyone watching this for sticking around, being patient with me while I took a break to adjust to new motherhood. I think that's it. We need to crack on. Yeah, let's just start. So the first question I got quite a lot of is, how are you? Thank you guys. I'm doing well. I'm generally doing quite well. Bit stressed this morning, not gonna lie. Baby was meant to be napping while I filmed this video, but she decided to have her shortest nap ever. So she is here with me while I film. So if you see me looking over there, that's why. And if you hear any banging or rattling or babbling, that's why. And this video will probably change, the lighting will change because I feel like I'm gonna have to do this at different points throughout the day. So that's how today is going, but how I am in general, I'm feeling really good. I feel honestly more like settled than I have done. It's maybe like a year before even getting pregnant. I feel like I am where I'm meant to be right now, if that makes sense. So I feel quite content. I was also asked if I got postnatal depression, and I was really lucky not to. I did have the baby blues for about 2 weeks really early on, where I was just crying about absolutely everything, but I was quite aware that that's what it was. Like, it felt very hormonal, it felt very irrational, the things that I was crying about. So that passed quite quickly, and I don't know, I feel like my hormones have balanced out quite quickly. My period came back after like 6 weeks, which I'm still not happy about, as I am exclusively breastfeeding. I feel like period should not have come back yet, but you know, here we are. My body was just like, hey, I know you're in the trenches, but how about you have another baby? Yeah, I think that maybe has helped my hormones balance out quite well. I mean, there's still, I think the rest of the year, I think it can be a whole year that you have the potential to get postnatal depression, but for how I feel right now, I feel like I have managed to avoid that, which I'm very, very grateful for. The Salsa Creative asked if I will be sharing my birth story, and I actually have a full video on Patreon about the end of my pregnancy, my birth, and the first few weeks. I filmed that quite early on after I'd given birth, so it was all fresh in my mind. So if you're interested in hearing the full details, the juicy details, I will have a link to my Patreon below. You can sign up just to watch that video, and there are like 115 other videos on there that you can check out while you're there. But if not, I will give you the Cliff Notes version. So how do I condense this? We went to the hospital about 12 o'clock at night. I had two lovely midwives, Lois and Safi. We were just sort of left to ourselves, me and Ozzy. We were in a lovely big room, and 3.5 hours later my waters broke. Ozzy called the midwife back. She asked me to go to the toilet to check that it was my waters that had broken, and the second I sat on the toilet, the baby started coming down. So Ozzy helped me back into the bed, and like a couple of contractions later I gave birth. So that was about 4 in the morning. Then about 10 in the morning I went to a breastfeeding workshop in the hospital, and oh, what are you saying? I'm talking about you. Yeah, I'm talking about you. And by that afternoon we were home. So it went really well. It was really positive. I think it helped that it went so quickly. I had really hoped to do it without a pain medication, and I actually managed to do that. The one thing is that I hoped for a water birth, and once we got there I just didn't get around to even asking about that. I think the whole thing went so quickly that, you know, what can you do? And making it sound really like amazing, there were tears, there were tears. It's the most pain I've ever been in my life. I was screaming and yelling, but I think, you know, your hormones make you forget all the bad parts, and that's where I'm at right now. It was like the most exhilarating thing I've ever done in my life, and I did come out of it thinking, hopefully I get to do that again one day. Terry Walker asked, boy or girl? She's a girl. I will not be sharing her full name online, her actual name, but we've been calling her, yes, we've been calling her Ro, so that is just what we're going to call her here on the channel. In terms of like sharing her face and stuff, she might pop up in my videos here and there, at least in her first year. I know. What's so funny? We're talking about you, baby. Yeah. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there, but yeah, girl. The next batch of questions are about what I got up to during mat leave. So how did I work during mat leave? In fact, I have a video that I made just before leaving on mat leave about my plans for maternity leave, how I was saving for it, how much work I was going to be doing. So I'll leave that linked above. That'll go into much more detail. But I was also asked if I did creative exercises while I was on maternity leave, and I did not. Unless you count like home DIY, which is what I did a lot of. I was also asked if I drew or sketched a lot during pregnancy, and I didn't do a lot for fun, but I did a lot for work, and it was quite relaxing and therapeutic at times. But I will say the most relaxing thing that I did was working on her like baby book. I've been working on like a journal, scrapbook of photos and memories and things throughout the pregnancy and like of her first years I'm hoping to do. So working on that was more like relaxing and therapeutic than painting, because when I was painting I was working. And then RJ Fenton asked how long I was on mat leave and how I afforded to do mat leave. So again, I'll leave that video above about how I afforded it. The one thing I will add to that is that I wish I had basically, I followed what I said in that video to the book, and I wish I'd given myself a bit more time, because by the time I had rung the maternity allowance people and said that I was going back to work, I think it was another month or two before I actually went back to work. In my mind, I thought I was ready, but like in terms of actually balancing things and being able to do things, I was absolutely not. So we'll get to like the balancing things part later on. But yeah, I could have got another 2 months, I think, of the full maternity allowance. But right now I'm still getting the part-time maternity allowance. And then in terms of how long I was on mat leave, for the full mat leave, I think I had 3 months, 1 month before she was born, 2 months after. And then after that, I was trying to do like a day here, a day there. So that's when I stopped getting the full maternity allowance payments. But I actually didn't come back to work properly until like a couple of weeks ago. So she's about to be 5 months old. But yeah, now is the first time that I'm really back to working several days in 1 week. Oh, a lot of people asked about what it's like being a mum, how I'm finding it, to describe motherhood. It's crazy. It's like the biggest challenge of life ever, by a mile. I knew that it would be difficult. Everyone says it's difficult, but I really could not have fathomed how difficult it would be. But then it's also the only thing that could be this difficult, because it's so rewarding. If it was anything else even half as difficult, I would have quit a long time ago. But because it's so rewarding, it is so amazing. It's all worth it. I'll even have like the most horrific nights where I'm up basically all night with the baby, and in the morning she will roll over and smile at me, and it doesn't matter. You know, who needs sleep? Phineas asked about the love that you feel for a new child. Also, Breecat asked if I've experienced a new kind of love. And I'll be honest, I think everyone experiences it differently. For me, it's been more of a grower. Like when she was first born, obviously I loved her. She was my daughter. I was just amazed and in awe. And fascinated by her, and would do anything to protect her and just wanted to take care of her. But I didn't know her, so I wasn't like in love with her, if that makes sense. That sounds bad, but I loved her, but I didn't know her. But the more that I know her, the more she grows, the more her personality develops, the more I just see who she is, and like I just see more and more of her come out every day. The more I fall like deeply, deeply in love with her, and I'm kind of obsessed with her now. And I feel like that's only going to keep growing, which seems crazy because I can't imagine loving her more, but I know that I will once she starts talking, and I don't know, even starting to, like now she's starting to grab things, and so you can see what she's more interested in, and she's done a couple of laughs, just a couple, but I feel like we're getting there to where she's going to start giggling more often. So yeah, I'm scared, to be honest, because the level of love right now, I can't imagine it going any higher, and I know that it will. And that's terrifying. Raven asked if there's anything that I have been pleasantly surprised by in motherhood. And there definitely is. I'm so unbothered by most things now. I have always been an incredibly anxious person. I am socially awkward. I get anxious leaving the house, anxious making phone calls, like properly anxious, like I need to go to the toilet, I want to curl up into a ball and cry, kind of anxious. And that has just always been my reality. Like, I think you are anxious for that long that you just sort of live like that. And then somewhere towards the end of pregnancy, I just stopped being anxious, especially about leaving the house and making phone calls and stuff. I think because I had so many appointments and things to do and go to that it became such a norm. And then since she's been born, I just don't care. I just don't care about any of the things I used to worry about so much. Like, nothing is keeping me up at night. I'm not thinking about conversations that I had years ago and thinking like, does anybody really like me? And just all those silly thoughts that I used to have do not come up anymore. I can walk out the house right now without like having a million conversations in my head and like trying to talk myself into it. I could walk out right now with no shoes on and go and talk to a stranger on the street and not feel any way about it, which is so surprising, so weird. It's like, I didn't know what it was like to feel like this. And I'm like, is this what normal people feel like? Normal people without anxiety. I still have anxiety about other things. Obviously, there's like the baby anxiety, you know, and like health anxiety and all sorts. But for the most part, I'm just so much more laid back, I feel. Like we've had no water for like a week. And we had a plumber around the other day and he's knocked a hole in our bathroom wall and left it. And when he's not going to be able to come back for at least a month. And I think normally that would just be on my mind all the time, but I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't have the capacity to care, I don't think. And the house is a mess all the time. Just all the things that I would have cared about before, that would have bothered me, that would have made me anxious, that would have made me stressed. It's just not that deep. Vivi Draws asked if I always knew I wanted a baby and how having a baby has changed my priorities. Yeah, honestly, I did always know that I wanted children. I always knew that I wanted a family. That's probably the only constant in life that I've sort of known. Like, my career goals have changed and all sorts. I wanted to live in New York at one point. I have wanted to like just go and live in the wilderness at times. I wanted to be an interpreter. I wanted to be a forensic scientist. But the one thing that I always knew that I wanted was to be a mum. So I think that also feeds into how my priorities have changed, like how I feel about my priorities changing. I don't really mind. Like I said at the beginning, I feel more settled than ever just because I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be and where I wanted to be. The shift in my priorities is something that I was really looking forward to, that I've been looking forward to for a long time. So I'm happy. I'm happy that it's worked out the way that it has. Okay, I got a huge number of questions about balancing art and motherhood and balancing work and motherhood. I think this is the most asked question that I got. So I'm going to try and answer some of the specific questions and hopefully that'll cover all of the questions that I got asked about this. Okay, so first we'll talk about work and motherhood and how I'm balancing working from home while also full-time parenting. And okay, it takes a lot of flexibility and it takes some dependence on other people, also flexibility, just not my kind of things at all. So at the moment, Ozzy is working 3 or 4 doubles a week. So those are full days where he's just not home at all, really. Like, he'll leave at 8 in the morning, he'll be back at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. So those are full days where it's just me and the baby. On those days, I can work while she's napping and I can also work with her on my lap, or like right now, she's just sitting on her high chair playing with a couple of toys. Those chunks of time are quite small, so her naps are generally half an hour. I'm really trying to lengthen them, but for now, half an hour seems to be fine for her. And then when I'm working and she's playing independently, she can do maybe half an hour, 45 minutes if I'm lucky, and then we do like face-to-face playtime and stuff like that. So when it comes to those days, I try to do work that I can do in chunks that I can pick up and put down. So pretty much all of my work, other than painting, is fine to do like that. I can edit a video in bursts. I can film a video in bursts if I have to. I mean, we'll see how much of this video I get through in this window. Any admin and stuff I can do. So it's kind of working. I just have to have less on my plate, and I again have to be flexible to be able to adapt. Like, I thought her nap would be longer this morning and it wasn't, so I had to sort of change up the plan. I thought that Ozzy would actually be off work today and I was meant to be packaging Patreon orders, because since that's a full day thing and he would need to have her for the whole day, but he had to go to work today like unexpectedly, so shifting around my plans as well. And for those days, like the Patreon packaging day that I'm probably going to do tomorrow, so he will have her all day and she's just going to have a bottle. She is breastfed, but she can have formula here and there. It doesn't always agree with her tummy, so I try not to do it too often. But for tomorrow, it should work out fine, and I will just spend that whole day trying to do as much of the Patreon packaging as I can, and then there'll be maybe a half day where I have to pop back and finish it. But at that point I can probably bring her with me, and my mum, because I do it at my mum's house, my mum can look after her while I'm doing that. So that's another thing, having other people to help. I'm really lucky that my mum lives 10 minutes away, my sister lives 10 minutes away, my dad lives 20 minutes away. I have friends all around. Ozzy's parents are always happy to come over whenever possible. And Ozzy, obviously, he works 3 or 4 days a week, but then that means he's off 3 or 4 days a week as well. So on the days that he's off, those are days where I can do things like painting. So painting is not something that I feel like I can pick up and put down. I want to be able to focus on what I'm doing and have just like unlimited time to do that. So on days where I want to make art, Ozzy takes her from first thing in the morning. I do as much as I can, and he just brings her in whenever she needs feeding, and that's like every 3 hours at the moment. And people have asked like about the balance aspect of it. It's starting to feel more balanced. At first, it felt like I was just constantly being pulled from pillar to post, and it still kind of feels like that. But I think what's helped is the way that I set up my calendar now. I put in 3 full days worth of work, and those will be 3 tasks. So for example, this week it's filming and editing this video, packaging the Patreon orders, and filming and editing a video for Patreon. And I just put those on a day each on my calendar, and there's enough space there for if I don't manage to finish something one day, I can put the other half on the next day. If I need to shift something over by a couple of days, I have the rest of the week to be able to do that. So just having 3 things basically a week and knowing that by the end of the week I will have it done makes it a lot less stressful for me, and I feel less desperate and frantic when I'm trying to get everything done. So that's like the art and work side of things. In terms of the life side of things, balancing things like housework, I just have got to get good at letting things go, not concerning myself with the things I used to concern myself with. The cleaning schedule is a lot more relaxed than it used to be. And, you know, I'm okay with that. I don't really mind. Ozzy has obviously been amazing, especially in those early weeks when he was off work. He just did everything. He also makes my breakfast, lunch and dinner every day, which started in the early days but has continued. He brings my breakfast to me in bed every morning, and then on days like today where he's working, he's prepped my lunch and dinner the night before. So that takes a lot off my plate, pun not intended. It just frees up like that little slither of time when all the free time that I can get is precious, not having to think about preparing a meal and just being able to sit down, especially while the baby's awake. Like if I can use her awake time where I can just sit down with her and eat, it's just really, really helpful. Like prioritizing what I do while she's awake and what I do while she's asleep is really, really important. And anything that I can do while she's awake, I will, because her asleep time is the most productive time that I can get. And then having energy to make art, I just have to pick and choose the days. Like if I wake up one day and I don't have the energy, then I'm not going to do it. I also do get some guilt, annoyingly, if I am like leaving her with her dad all day. He's grateful for it because he doesn't get to see her as often as he would like to. Like they get to have loads of fun. She's grateful for it. But in the back of my mind, the whole time that I'm painting, I'm thinking I should be looking after my baby right now. So that's still something I need to work on. But I think also because anytime I am painting at the moment, it is work, like it is stuff that needs to get done. It might feel different when I'm painting just for fun, but I don't know when I'm going to fit the painting for fun in, because that seems almost like frivolous at this point, like with such a limited amount of time to do anything. Painting for fun when I could either be painting for work or like relaxing or anything else. Yeah, it's not like top of the priorities list at the moment, and I don't mind that, to be honest. I think I'm lucky in that I can paint and that be my job. So I'm sort of ticking off 2 things off the list at once. So I do get to be creative, but I also get to make a living. But yeah, at some point it would be nice to do some painting for fun, but I'm not in any hurry. So going into that, people have also asked about like my schedule and routines. So I do have a video that I'm working on at the moment where I'm going more in depth into my time tracking, how my time compares now to how it did before I had a baby. I've been tracking pretty much to the minute how I've been spending my days, which I did before I had the baby as well. And I actually have a video on Patreon where I go through that in more detail. But in the video that I'll be sharing with you guys, I'll be doing a comparison to see how much of my time is spent working, how much time is spent on leisure, and obviously now how much time is spent with the baby, and also how much time is spent with the baby and working. And, you know, we'll figure that all out, but that'll be out probably after this video. So you'll see that in more detail, and hopefully that'll make all of this make a bit more sense, how I'm balancing everything. We're only really just getting into the routine stage. The first 3 months, it was just like a play it by ear, baby-led situation. If she wanted to eat, if she wanted to sleep, if she wanted to play, if she wanted to be held, she wanted to be held the whole time. But our current routine is that we're up at 7. It differs if Ozzy's home. So on days that he's home, I will give her straight to him at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then I have 3 hours to do whatever I want. That could be having a nap. That was the case yesterday. We had a rough night the night before last. Or it could be like that I then get on with painting or whatever. And then we take turns throughout the day, 3 hours on and 3 hours off. Or it could be one of those days where he has her all day. And then days where he's not here, up at 7, playtime. I spend that whole first wake window with her, and that is normally 2 hours. Then she goes down for a nap, and that's when I get to have a shower and get ready. Then she's up, and we will usually spend the next 2 hours like I'll do a bit of work maybe, and then the last part of that wake window we'll do some playtime, and that basically just carries on for the rest of the day. Her naps, like I said, last half an hour, so I just try to fit in as much as I can through that. And then she goes to bed at 7 in the evening, and she's up about 3 times a night. She's usually up at like 10, 1 and 4 in the morning. So yeah, that is the current routine, but that could change overnight. Like she could drop a night feed, or she could take longer naps, or she could drop a nap. Yeah, it's just constantly changing. Her wake windows could get longer. So it's crazy. Like, it doesn't feel that long ago that she was up for only like half an hour at a time, or she wasn't awake at all. Like she'd just be awake to eat, and then she was sleeping, then she was up for like half an hour, then she was up for an hour, and now she's up for 2.5 hours at a time, sometimes 3 hours, and she can finally sleep without me holding her, which is amazing, because for the first 3 months she really would only sleep with me holding her, and that made it really difficult for me to do anything like have a shower, eat, anything. So we're in a better place now, but I know that it's all subject to change. I'm not gonna plan ahead for anything, because you just really don't know how it's gonna go. I really thought when I have a baby, I'll do my work when she's napping, and I'll sort out the house and blah, blah, blah. And because she only napped in my arms, that just wasn't the case. Yeah, the routine, the schedule is all change anyway. Like obviously it changes the older she gets, but also Ozzy's got about a week and a half left at his current job, and then he'll be starting a new job where his hours will be completely different. I won't have those full days with him, and I won't have those full days without him either. He'll still be chefing, but he's going to have more regular hours. He'll be home on most evenings and most weekends, so it'll be another adjustment to figure out. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, Dada. Yeah, Dada. He's going to spend more time with you. He's going to be more at home. Yeah, train of thought lost. Hopefully I made the point I was trying to make. Someone also asked for my new planner setup. I'm not using my planner at all. Like I said, I'm only using my Google Calendar at the moment. I don't know if I made that clear. I'm only using my Google Calendar at the moment to block in 3 tasks per week. Yeah, planner, not necessary. Oh, I also, other than on my calendar, keep to-do lists. So I have a to-do list for the month and a to-do list for the current week. I keep that on Google Keep, and then I never look at them again. My monthly list, at some point next month, I'll look at it and realise that I haven't ticked anything off, and I'll just change the title from September to October. My weekly list, I can't remember the last time I looked at that, but I do keep adding to it. I also got a lot of questions about if my work has been inspired or changed by motherhood, and to be completely honest, not yet. As I said, I'm only making stuff that is like work stuff that I would already been making. So I haven't done anything that I'm like inspired to do necessarily. And to be honest, I haven't been inspired creatively in that way yet. Oh. Hi. Hey baby. Hey baby. I don't even know what question I was on. Oh yeah. Creatively not feeling more inspired or less inspired than usual. To be honest, because I've spent so long not painting for fun and not like having time to just paint whatever I want to paint, I've kind of lost track of what I'm interested in painting, what I care about creatively at the moment. So hopefully I'll get a chance to delve into that a bit more. But no, I'm not feeling more inspired or creative, which I feel like is a bit of a disappointing answer, because some of you have like lots of lovely stories about how motherhood changed, like you wanted to create for your child, and I do want to create stuff for her. I just don't know what yet. My creative outlet has been the like baby journal scrapbook thing, so I'm going to keep working on that for now. And it is fun reading all of our little storybooks and looking at the illustrations in those. Our favourites are Zoom, and we're going on a bear hunt we just got, which is a great one. I've got a Prince of Egypt book that one of my patrons sent me, Ashley, and we read that quite often. First time I read through it completely, I cried at the end, so thank you, Ashley. She knows how much I love the Prince of Egypt. And baby Ro is going to love it too. So yeah, storybook illustrations are always good fun to look at and always inspiring. But I don't know if that necessarily means that I want to illustrate stories or anything. Like I'm not there yet. I'm not feeling it. I know that I will make stuff for her in the future, but it'll be when I know what I want to make for her. Oh, I will say inspiration-wise, something that has been inspiring me recently is that I've been watching a lot of Landscape Artist of the Year. Before I had a baby, it was like, I'm not going to let her watch telly. We're not going to do any screen time. And didn't last very long. She really loved the Olympics, and I thought, you know, that's fine. She's seeing people from all around the world doing different things, doing incredible things, the Olympics and the Paralympics. And while she was watching that, I realised how much I can get done while she's got something to engage with, while I can go and do other things. So since then, every once in a while, I put the telly on and we just have a channel that only plays Landscape Artist of the Year and Portrait Artist of the Year. Yeah, you like those, don't you? And I feel like that's a decent thing for her to watch, other people painting. And I've been really enjoying it as well, just seeing people's different styles and different approaches. Seeing people do different things with art is always really inspiring to me and makes me want to try and find my creative voice as well. Riddy's Art Desk asked if I feel like the same artist that I was before I had a baby, and they said that they feel like their identity changed from artist to mum, which is a bit disconcerting. And I agree on that, and I'm sorry that you feel like that. I feel at the moment like I am 97% mum, 3% artist. And like I said before about how my priority shifting isn't really an issue for me at the moment. Right now, I don't mind that, but I feel like over time that might become disconcerting. As you said, I think the most important thing, like a couple of people have asked for advice and I don't really feel like I'm in a place to give it because this is so new to me and I'm not in a place where I need to sort of deal with these feelings yet. But if I could look ahead and think about what I would do, it really would just be being okay with depending on other people to take care of the childcare for a little while and making sure to dedicate some time to spend by myself, either creating art or going out and being inspired, going to galleries, going to parks, going to museums, just doing the things that would fill me back up and not feeling selfish to do that, just letting myself be me again, like outside of being mum, and find that creative voice again and find what I like and what I want to do and have time to do it, or make time to do it, make it a priority. I hope that those of you out there that are feeling stuck creatively in motherhood have some kind of support around you that would allow you to take some time to yourself, because I think that is the key. And then Anna Karen asked if I was scared of losing my sense of self when I had a baby. And even though, like I said, it was like a thing that I always wanted, I was scared because you just never know. I will say I'm kind of lucky because I am a homebody. I can go like a couple of weeks without seeing my friends. I work from home. So if anything, I probably get out of the house more now that I have a baby, just because I'm not going to keep her stuck at home all day. So I take her out for walks as often as I can, and we go to the library, we go to the park. Also, because we're the first people in our friendship group to have a baby, there's like a novelty there. So we just bring her out whenever we go out. If we go for dinner or drinks with friends, we bring her with us, which was a lot easier when she was younger and her bedtime was like 11 o'clock at night anyway. She loves the pub. She's been to the pub a lot, and she loves being passed around. She loves attention. So it's been okay. Like, I feel like we've basically lived our lives the way that we always have. And I do think that's going to start changing now that her bedtime is earlier, but I still have people around that could babysit. Like, we went to a wedding a few weeks ago and we stayed over. So that was our first night away from her, and my sister looked after her, and it was really hard in the lead up. I spent a lot of nights sort of crying myself to sleep with worry about leaving her. But once we were there, it was fine, and it was fun, and it was nice to just be people, be grown-ups and have fun with our friends. I don't know, I think it's just important to not let it completely take over your life. I think the people that say you can live the exact same life that you used to, I mean, if they can, then good for them. I don't think that is true, but you can keep aspects of your life the same and find ways to make it work. And I hope it doesn't come across that I'm trying to make it sound like it's been easy. It's definitely not. It still isn't, and it definitely wasn't right at the beginning. You know, there's been a lot of tears. I think I've cried more in the last few months than I've cried ever in my life. And I'm a sensitive person. I cry a lot anyway. There are days where things don't go to plan and it's really difficult and stressful. Yesterday was one of those days, but you just pick up where you left off and take it as it comes and try not to put too much on your plate. I think that's easier for me to say because obviously I work for myself. That being said, it's difficult in that when I don't work, I don't make money and we have bills to pay. So finding a balance between doing what I can when I can, but not being too hard on myself when I can't has been really, really important, and it's still something that I'm working on. Georgia May, hi Georgie, asked how the transition was from mat leave and if I sorted out the nursery in advance. So transition from mat leave, it was tough because if I could have the whole year off, I would have, just to spend time easing back into things and getting used to being a mum. But I just don't have the savings, to be completely honest, to take that much time off. Maternity allowance doesn't even cover like my half of the mortgage, let alone all of the rest of our bills and everything. So it was a great addition to my income. I was still getting money from Patreon, which I'm so grateful for, like I said, and that really kept me afloat. But if I'm not actively working, I'm not making enough money to survive. So the transition back was more like out of necessity. I'm kind of glad that it was necessary because I think the longer I took off, the harder it would be to get back into things. But I would say it took a good month or two for me to get to this point where I feel like back in the swing of things. I actually feel more in the swing of things than I did before because of the challenge of like time management. It makes you really prioritize things and it makes me more efficient and more focused. And then nursery. So as you can see, maybe I am not in my studio room. I knew that oh my gosh. I knew that eventually would be Rose's nursery, but she's still in our room for now, and she probably will be for at least a few more months, maybe a bit longer. I'm not in any rush to move her out. So I moved out here just because it's easier for me to be out like in the rest of the house. It just feels a bit more social and I can be here while she plays. In fact, I have a whole video. I have a whole video of me moving out here and decluttering my room. So I'll save all that spiel for that. But yeah, nursery is not ready at all. We just had a cot next to our bed for the longest time and she's just about to move into her big girl cot, which is just on the other side of the bed. And like clothes and things, we got loads of gifts. I think I bought like 3 outfits before she was born, and the rest was all like gifted or hand-me-downs or like stuff from the charity shop that my mum picked up here and there. So we really didn't buy too much. We didn't really prep too much, which is crazy for me because I'm such a prepper. But I don't know, it's just one of those things, you don't know what you need until you're in it. So just got the bare essentials. And nursery, I'm looking forward to decorating one day, but it'll be a little while before that. Oh, and then I remember the next question was sort of related to that, and that is, how big is your house? Which I think ties into that just in terms of how we're working with the space. So I have no idea what the square footage is, but it's a 2-bed flat. I would say a decent size. It's well proportioned at least. But yeah, because of that, I have given up my work room to be the nursery one day. But luckily we have enough space out here in the living area for me to have a workspace. So it all works. we could even fit another child in there one day, maybe. Angie Setchfield asked what I'm working on now. So creatively, I am just working on Patreon bundle artwork, which is good fun. It's nice to have like direction, because I think if I didn't, I wouldn't be painting at all. I wouldn't take any time to paint. And so we are doing, the theme for this year is 100 little things. So every month I paint like 8 to 10 things within like a category. So this month is musical instruments. Last month was, I think, cakes. So yeah, just painting little things and making prints and stickers and things for those. Outside of art, I was just working on decluttering all of my supplies and moving my space out here. And yeah, I'm basically just trying to catch up on videos and things and get back on track with everything so that these 3 days a week can be like the most productive as possible. I was asked, what is my favorite thing about being an artist? I mean, I get to do what I love. I get to work from home. I have moments where I'm painting and I just get completely lost in it, and that's great. Like sometimes I do have moments where I'm painting and I stop and think, I can't believe that I get to do this as my job, and I can't imagine doing anything else at this point. So yeah, I think that's probably my favourite thing as an artist. And my favourite thing about life right now is it's a lot of fun. It's very kooky. It's very kooky, crazy. I think Ozzy and I have always been quite goofy people anyway, but the goofy level has just gone up exponentially. We are constantly singing, constantly dancing, making funny faces, just doing anything to see her smile. I think we make up about 5 songs a day. One of my new classics is called Trampolini. It's about a dinosaur jumping on a tambourine because he thinks that it's a trampoline. It's just fun to play and be like a kid again. What was my most recent project or exciting piece of work? So before maternity, I think the last thing I did was I did some work for Strathmore. I did some videos for their channel, some like tutorial videos, and I don't make tutorial videos very often anymore at all. So it's always nice, it's always a challenge, and yeah, it's always nice working with Strathmore, and I was just grateful for the opportunity. So that was a quite fun project. Oh, and Melanie asked about the commission that I've mentioned a few times but haven't been able to talk about. It's been a long time now since I worked on that. I started it in our old flat, I think, so it's been at least 2 years, and I still haven't really heard much about it, but I'm going to tell you a few bits. It was for Scholastic, the like publishing company, a book that someone was coming out with that I had to do, I think it was 82 illustrations for. It's a non-fiction book, non-fiction book, sort of about relics, and I don't know how much I can say. I need to check if this book has actually come out, because I think I would have thought I'd hear something, but it was meant to come out years ago. But yeah, if it is out, I'd like to have a copy, and I'd love to be able to show you the artwork. So yeah, I will have a look. If the book is out, I will leave it like on screen or something. But yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. I really need to check in on that. Okay, we just took a break to eat and play, and now she is down for a nap. So hopefully we will have the next half hour to get through the rest of these questions. Okay, so we're going to talk next about my future art plans. A few people were wondering what I've got planned, what I'm looking forward to, my artistic goals for baby's first year. Generally, I would just like to work on my Patreon bundles, work on the baby journal, and maybe one project. If I can throw in one like personal project, that would be great. There is one that I've been wanting to work on for absolute years, and now feels like a good time to do it. Now it feels more appropriate. It is child related, so hopefully I can get around to that. The thing with that is that I would like to make a video out of it, and I don't know if I should focus on something that I'm just doing for me and just doing by myself, like in my own like private time that I can really enjoy without showing it to the world. So we'll see. I don't have any massive goals. I'm just going to take it as I go. The goal is to keep trucking along, keep surviving, and just do my best. I was also asked if I predict a significant shift in my style, and I don't think so. I don't imagine my style changing that much. I think if anything, that would take a lot of work, like to adapt my style and change up my process right now while I'm just trying to snatch any small amount of time that I can to paint. If anything, I will say maybe my style would change just based on the necessity to be more efficient, to work more quickly. It could be really useful to find ways to streamline my process even more, and that could have an effect on the style that I end up creating. But no, I don't plan on changing my style. I'm quite content with my style. If anything, I would like to develop it, like really nail it down and just have more of a unique voice. But no, I'm happy with my style pretty much as it is. And my current state of mind right now is really just about surviving, getting through each day, balancing the fun with the difficult bits, trying to have a little bit of time for myself. Now that she's going to bed at 7, it is a lot easier and I can have the evenings to myself. I'm working on a jigsaw puzzle at the moment. I'm watching films again, which is nice. Nice to be able to sit down and watch something all the way through. But yeah, honestly, that's all I'm asking of myself right now. Cabbage Cakes asked, have I got any plans to make any more zines? Yeah, definitely in the future. Like I said, there's a project that I've had in mind. I've probably mentioned it in my last Q&A, however many years ago that was. It's been on my mind for years at this point, maybe 5 or more years, but now does feel like the time, and I think I could make a zine or like a little book out of that, and I think that'd be really cool. I really want to do that, and that is something that I would want to give to Ro in the future. So going back to that last question about if I've been inspired, I haven't necessarily been inspired to make things for her, but I've got more motivation to make the things that I already thought about making in the past. I don't know if that sentence made sense, but yeah. Zines in the future will be happening. Pig paintings. Have you ever thought about adding to your Pigs in Flowers series? I mean, it's not like I've just shelved it. It's still like an open idea. I don't know if it's one of the things that I'm like eager to get back to, but I did have good fun with it. I actually saw an artist on Instagram that I follow do like a pig bouquet painting that was so cool. I'll leave a link to that below if I remember to add it after. But yeah, that reminded me of my Pig Flowers series and made me start thinking about it again. So it's on my mind, but I'm not making any promises and I wouldn't expect to see it anytime soon. Will you put out an Inktober list? No. No, I won't be putting out an Inktober list. I won't be taking part in Inktober this year. I don't think I have for the past couple of years. I just like the thought of trying to commit to making something every day. I mean, it could be a good challenge. It could be good for figuring out how I would fit that into my day, but it's not a priority right now. But I am looking forward to seeing the Peachtober list. I always look forward to seeing that and the artwork that comes from that. It might be out by now already. Have you ever considered trying any other art forms such as pottery or crochet? And also, is there a medium that you would like to try? I do love the idea of pottery. I love the idea of like spinning pottery on a wheel. I did that once years and years and years ago and it was so much fun. It's so like tactile and you make such beautiful things. So maybe one day pottery, and then I went through a phase where I was really obsessed with cross-stitching. I was watching so many cross-stitching videos on YouTube and I really wanted to get into it. But the issue with me is that when I'm trying something new, if I'm not good at it immediately, I'm probably going to quit. And in my mind, I know what I would want to make cross-stitching wise, and it's like beyond advanced, possibly not even possible. So I would need to adjust my expectations, I think, first going into it. But yeah, cross-stitching maybe, and pottery. And do you ever draw digitally? I used to here and there. I used to draw digitally quite often to map out a drawing, like to plan it out before I did it on paper or on canvas. And sometimes I will tweak my paintings like on Photoshop with like some digital adjustments. But no, I don't draw digitally very often. Like I don't have a tablet anymore. I have my iPad with Procreate, the app on there, but I haven't used that in years. And then this computer has like a touchscreen and a stylus, so that's what I'll use anytime I just want to jot something out quickly, but never anything noteworthy. Okay, and now we're going to get into the advice section. So advice about career, art, yeah, just the stuff that you asked. So any advice for someone thinking of starting a channel? I started my channel like 10 years ago now, so I'm not up to date with the current like best practices, but that would be my recommendation, to look into what the best practices are for YouTube right now, what the algorithm wants, and then also think about what you want to say. What is it that you want to put out there? What do you enjoy watching? What do you want to see more of? And how can you bring your unique voice to that? And yeah, just, I mean, it's so cringe, but really be yourself, because there is no one else like you out there and people are always looking for something new. But yeah, I can't give you YouTube advice. My channel has been flatlining for a long time now, which I have no problem with. Like, I'm very happy for the people that are here to be the people that like want to be here. But yeah, don't ask me. Advice to younger artists: draw what you like seeing, copy the art that you like. Controversial, I know, but that's how I learned a lot of what I know. I copied a lot of the art that I liked looking at, and in doing that you start to learn how they did it, how they made it, their processes, especially if you're following an artist and they share like videos of their process or anything, you can really break down what it is about their art that you like, and then from there start adding your own flair. It's going to have your own flair anyway because it's come from your hands and not theirs. I'm not saying copy their art and then share it on Instagram and pretend that it's yours, but do that as often as you can, just to learn what you can, and then try to transfer what you've learned onto painting or drawing the things that you're interested in. Art ideas for sketchbooks, that would be like a whole separate video, and we have potentially 20 minutes, so I'll try and get a video out soon. I did do a video during maternity leave about ideas for the first page of your sketchbook, and I do believe I have videos on Patreon about sketchbook ideas as well. But yeah, I'll try to think of some more ideas. Oh, I also have a book. I also have a book that's all about sketchbook ideas. So that's all I can give you for now, and we will try to do a video about it again in the future. I want to start drawing, but I don't know where to start. Like I said previously, draw what you're interested in, draw what you like. Scroll through Instagram and just draw the things that you see. I did a lot of that back in the day, scrolling through Tumblr and just drawing anything that interested me. Start there, and then as you're going, think about where it's not coming out how you would like it to, and focus in on those areas, learning about those areas, because there's YouTube videos, there's free information out there for everything. If your lines are wobbly, if your perspective is off, if the scaling is off, or anything, whatever it is, or all of the things, just find something to focus on that you want to work on improving at, and find some information on that, but make sure you're drawing as much as possible so that you know what you want to improve, and so you're keeping the practice up and learning as you go. Can you give some tips on getting back into sketching and art in general? And then some advice on getting back into sketching, either when you don't have the energy, when it feels like a job, staying motivated when you're having off days. It depends on your situation. If it is your job, it's different. But if it's not your job, I would just take a break and recharge, refill the battery, get yourself inspired, make it an intentional break, not just like putting a sketchbook down and not going near it for however long. Like decide, okay, for this week, I'm going to spend this week really exploring why I don't feel like I'm in the mood to do it. Is it a confidence thing? Is it a particular skill that you feel like you're lacking in? Really explore what it is that's stopping you from sketching, and also go and have fun. Go out and see things, see new things that would make you want to draw in the first place. Look at artists that inspire you and think about why. Think about the reason that you want to draw still, why you create in the first place. Maybe come up with a project that you can work on, maybe something like Inktober, where you're sort of forced into creating every day and you've got a restriction on you that's going to make you focus in more, so there's less of that like decision fatigue and less of that trying to find the impetus to actually get started. You have a set schedule, you have a set rule of what you're going to do. So yeah, take a break, explore the reasons why, both your reason why you don't want to be making art right now and why you started making art in the first place, and set yourself a challenge / project. Make yourself a piece of art for your house or something. Just set a project that you can see through from start to finish and build structures and habits along with that while you go. I'm sorry if I'm talking really fast, like the clock is ticking. Watch this be like an hour-long nap. Have you ever had any issues creating art from your imagination? Yeah, yeah, I think everyone does. You have to remember that, like, unless you have a photographic memory, you're not just gonna know what a thing looks like. Like, I couldn't just draw a pineapple right now. If I'm drawing something from imagination, before that, I'm looking at references of that thing from different angles, maybe doing studies of those references, but to be honest, I'm a bit too lazy for that. But looking at different references, getting an understanding of that thing first, unless it's something that you draw regularly, like faces or anything like that you draw quite often, that you get an idea of the structure, it's understandable to not have like it inbuilt in your imagination what it should look like. James Gurney has a really good book on drawing from imagination. He did like the Dinotopia books. He does really incredible gouache paintings, and he has a whole book about his process on creating from imagination. But yeah, don't be hard on yourself for that if that is how you're feeling. A lot of creating from imagination is having an idea of what it will look like that's the imagination part, but then looking at references and studying to be able to convey that onto the page. How did you turn art into a career? I have a whole video about that, my whole journey to making art my career. So I'll just leave that linked above because we don't have too much time to answer that. And then how do I best go about making my creative hobby my full-time job? It depends. It depends what your hobby is, and it depends what you want to do with it. So I would start by thinking about what you want to do. Do you want to sell the things you make? Do you want to do workshops? Do you want to teach in person? Do you want to create an online business or go to craft fairs? Think about what path of a career you want to take. If it's illustration, if you want to do books, if you want to do editorial or, graphic novels or prints for people's houses, or there are so many different paths that you can take with all of the different crafts. So think about what path you want to take, how you want to make it a career. And then once you've nailed down the specifics, then you can start looking into how other people have done it. And also think about your specific situation or your needs. You might not want to involve social media, and in that case there are loads of videos online about how to promote your work without using social media. Or you might be really good at social media and you want to pick a specific platform that you are using the most. So I guess my advice is to just really nail down a solid plan, really think about what you want to do and what you want to get out of it. And then of course research every single part of that you can, and always just get started. You can do all the research in the world, but unless you get started, you're not really going to know what you need to know. I gave birth in April too, congratulations. And getting back into art, any tips to start a career with a baby? I mean, everything that I just said, but obviously with a baby, it's just a whole other ball game. So it would be all of that, but making sure that you're fitting in at least a small chunk of your schedule every day to be able to do that. Hopefully your little one is also sleeping at an early-ish time enough in the night that you have time in the evenings to have a little bit of time to yourself, or naps. Maybe your baby is napping a bit better than mine is. So yeah, if you can carve out a little bit of time every day to work on those things that I just talked about in the previous question, that would be my only advice. But I mean, I don't have experience with building a career while also being a mum, so I'm not sure how much help I can be on that one. Are you a full-time artist / YouTuber? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Yeah, I am, and I think I pretty much answered that earlier about how lucky I feel to work from home and do what I love. The only difference that I could say with the YouTuber part is it can be difficult to exist in the moment without thinking about the content that I'm going to make. If I was just an artist, no social media stuff involved, I feel like I would create a bit more freely. Being online does add some challenge to it. Sometimes I do feel like I lose my creative voice a little bit when I'm thinking about what people want to see rather than what I want to create, or while I'm creating, thinking about sharing that with other people. However, on the flip side, I get to share my work with a community of people. I get to have a back and forth with people, and when your job is as solitary as mine is, it can be really nice to have people to bounce back and forth with and communicate with, and it's been really helpful for my growth, I think, as an artist. Okay, Monica Olarawaju asks, how do artists collaborate / not collaborate with each other? I've had mixed experience. That's a hard one. I suppose if your vibes align, which is such a wishy-washy answer, but if it's someone that you are following and they feel like an internet friend to you, especially someone that you've had interactions with, that you've talked with, and that you feel a collaboration would make sense with. I don't know, that is a hard one. In my mind, I can think of the people that I would happily reach out to collaborate with, but they're people that I love their art, I love their work ethic, and just everything I've seen of them online. They seem like lovely people, and they're also people that I have spoken to back and forth quite a lot over the years. So maybe work on building the relationships first before you delve into the collaboration aspect, and also think about what capacity would you be collaborating in the first place, and making sure that that is clear for both parties. Oh, and this is a really good one. So this is from Asia. It's great to hear from you, Asia. With all that's going on in the world now more than in the past, I'm feeling pressure to make sure my art has a message. While it's important to stand for something, is it necessary that all art reflects reality? Curious to hear your perspective. Isn't that an incredible question? So art obviously historically has reflected the times. It's been used as a statement against certain regimes, and it's been used as propaganda. Art can also be an escape from the time. Like there are certain periods in history that come after really tough times that get more into the surreal and the abstract. At the moment, we are obviously witnessing some awful things, the atrocities in Gaza at the moment, or recently we've had like race riots here in the UK, and it's understandable when those things are weighing on you so much to want to express something through your art. And I think you can find different ways to do that. You can do that in a literal way. You can do that where you're bringing attention to these things, where you are advocating. You can use it in a way to express how you're feeling. It doesn't have to be so straightforward and explicit. It can be more introspective. And as I said, it can also be completely away from that. It can be an escape. You know, sometimes art can be therapy. It can be just time to yourself and time to, for me, I love making art because I love getting lost in what I'm doing and the world not existing for a little while. So yes, well, I think it's important to use your voice for the causes that you believe in. I also think there are other ways that you can do that if you don't want to do it through your art. I know for me, I spend a lot of time talking about these things in person, like with friends, with family. And when it comes to making art, I don't necessarily want to think about all the bad in the world. I want to think about trees and flowers. And I mean, you said you're in a plant painting phase at the moment. Paint plants, be happy painting plants. You don't need to hide from all the stuff that's going on in the world. But if you need an escape for a moment, then I don't see why art can't be that. All right, and we're coming to the end and baby is still asleep. Amazing. So artist Marianne Hayes asked what is my personality type. When I tell you, Marianne, I took maybe 3 tests yesterday, and they're not quick to do either, to find out my personality type, and I got to the end of each one of them and they wanted me to pay, and I'm not doing that. So I am going to try again maybe this evening. If I do it again and I manage to do it before I edit this video, I will flash up on screen what my personality type comes up as. If not, I'll let you know in a future video. And my favourite colour combo right now? That is such an interesting question. So when I'm painting, I'm still using just a basic limited palette. I used to use like an adjusted limited palette for more of like a warm, earthy, muted look. But right now, I'm keeping things basic. I just want things to be as simple as possible. So I'm using ultramarine, like a cadmium red, primary yellow, white, black, and yellow ochre. But then like colours in life that I like. I always love pink, but for colour combinations, I mean, I'm looking around and my kitchen is dark blue and like a dusty green. The walls over there are like a dark blue, cushions on the sofa like a dusty green with some red highlights. So I think that those are the colours that I gravitate to the most. I'll show you. Obviously, can't bring the wall with me, but like these kinds of colours. Warm, earthy, cozy. But that is the very last question. I feel like this video was so long, so thank you so much for sticking with me throughout. Thank you so much to everyone that submitted questions. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm not sure what video we've got coming up next because I have no idea when this, oh no, this is my next video. Okay, so next video will be the time tracking comparison video, and then we will see my transforming this workspace video. So if you're interested in those and you're not subscribed, please do. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye. Do you have anything else to say to the peeps? That's really helpful because they didn't know that before. So thank you very much. Okay. You want to sit in your chair? We'll play with your ducky? Yeah, ducky. Come on.